in terms of how we work here, we have a relentless focus on business value. That's always our North Star. And we map that to that user value. So, I touched on it earlier. Those continuous user interviews are really important to us to really know what our problem space looks like. So instantly we knew that very early on, this was 18 months ago now, that solution was a great match for problems our users have. When we go back to the business side, we knew we were going to A/B test this feature right from the start. So we needed to know that it would drive real business value for us. And obviously that maps to, solving real pain points for users.
Welcome to the Insights Unlocked podcast. I'm Nathan Isaacs, Senior Manager for Content Production and User Testing. And joining us today as host is Michael Domanic, User Testing's Head of AI. Welcome, Michael.
Hey, everyone.
And our guest today is Jack Mitchell, Head of Product and Operations at Zigzag. Zigzag is the #1 puppy training app. Welcome to the show, Jack.
Thanks, Nathan.
Jack, thank you so much for joining us today. Look, as we get started, I'd love for you to tell us a bit about your career journey. Tell us about Zigzag. Tell us about the work that you do there.
Of course. So I've spent over 10 years in B2C startups. So I started out at a scaling fintech credit report company. And during my 8 years there, like pretty much anyone on the planet, I got a dog in lockdown and had the opportunity to join Zigzag as a second employee. Zigzag is a 20-person B Corp, and we're a corporate-backed startup. I use it to describe Zigzag as Duolingo for dogs. So we offer users daily bite-sized lessons and AI-driven puppy answers. So, what does this mean? I've gained deep expertise in user-focused growth and rapid scaling, and now applying that know-how to create engaging science-based training solutions here at Zigzag.
So, Jack, before we unpack all of that, what's your dog's name? What kind of dog do you have?
My dog's name is Peanut. She's a 4-year-old Labrador. I didn't have Zigzag during puppyhood. So, when I found Zigzag, I was like, this would have been great during those early years. You've really got to get started early. So, yes, still have a few underlying issues to resolve. But yeah, I can get a little bit of help with our training coaches and the app.
Yeah, fantastic. So putting the focus back on Zigzag a little bit here. So Zigzag was among the first dog training apps to integrate a generative AI chat. So can you tell us a bit about that feature? Also, it'd be great to hear what were some of the biggest, technical and strategical challenges that you faced in developing that AI-powered solution. How did you overcome those challenges? So tell us a little bit more about that.
Cool. So Ziggy is a cartoon AI coach trained by real dog trainers and is personalized to each dog's profile when they sign up to Zigzag. So when we built it, the biggest strategic challenge was that we were in growth mode and still are. So at the time, we had a WhatsApp chat support for all real life training coaches. And as you can imagine, that's not really scalable as we grow as a business. So we needed to find a way to provide science-backed advice in it through a scalable method while still incorporating that core value proposition for our users. The technical challenge there was balancing personalization with a need for consistent answers that were validated through proof of concept testing, from a technical side, but also getting trainers to review the answers to ensure the responses given were suitable to our training methods, but also science-backed. So in terms of how we overcame these challenges, first, it was all about continuous user interviews, really knowing what problems our users were coming to solve, looking at the data that we already had around that. And we found that out through things like chat tagging. As you can imagine, collaboration was key throughout that process. So we had data people, we had non-technical dog coaches, we had engineers and product designers. So it was really about bringing all those people together to understand that problem and deliver a relevant solution. And then on top of that, we needed to deliver an AI solution which users trust. So why wouldn't they just go to chat GPT rather than us? So that solution testing was really important throughout that process to make that not only trusted, but engaging and valuable.
Yeah, can you unpack that a little bit? Because I think I, often have the same question when using a product's AI features is why am I using this as opposed to just going to, one of the frontier models directly? So, why would someone use your feature as opposed to, going to ChatGPT?
Well, the thing that's really hard about in ChatGPT, you're getting very generic answers that are sourced from the wider internet. What we did through our responses was get our training coaches to ultimately train the model we provide. So it means users know that they can trust the answers that they're getting, and they're getting training methods that are positive rather than perhaps negative for training their dog or puppy, so that they really can trust those answers and get those answers quickly.
I'd be curious to go back to the process around interviewing folks to get feedback on your prototype tests, and really all the stages of development. What might have been some of the biggest surprises that you gained from testing, and how did those insights ultimately impact the final version of what you rolled out?
We interview users here on a continuous basis. So we're doing regular user interviews, and we recognize this problem because our training coaches was a real star feature for our products. And we found a couple of things that, one, that people didn't realize it was there in the first place, but two, people just felt silly interacting with training coaches. They didn't want to bother them with like stupid questions. Like, maybe they just thought something and then they're out and about and, didn't want to bother a human, even though they're, paying a subscription. So that was probably one of the big ones. And we knew that there was an opportunity there. And on top of that problem, when we got to solution testing with the AI feature, when we matched that solution to the problem, one of the biggest insights that, yes, like as you expect, it was very early days with AI. Not everyone was using ChatGPT at that stage. So people sort of knew about the concept, but there's just, as there is now, low initial trust. People just don't want to engage with an AI bot because they don't know what response they're getting. Also, they don't know how to engage with it in the first place. So that solution testing was really important for us. What we did throughout that process, one of the key insights was keeping a human in the loop to validate any kind of critical advice, especially answers we couldn't give, but also letting users know. And in fact, we separated our experience between human and AI just to make that really clear to our users what that value proposition was. Second from that, we incorporated the Ziggy character, which is very personable, and it helps build up that user confidence and gets people to engage with it in the first place. And finally, one of the biggest things that really drove engagement was personalized suggested questions. So getting users to engage early on was really important to us, and those personalized questions really encouraged users to engage with the feature early on in their customer journey. So those were the things we tackled early on to build on that. And since then, we've been continuing to refine prompts and the model itself. And that's really through continuous data gathering, whether that's through our user interviews and qual research or the quants research we get on a continuous basis through things like ratings.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, you touched on something that I've been thinking about through all of this, and I think about this wherever companies are integrating AI features, is that trust thing, right? A lot of folks approach AI not knowing what to trust and what level of trust that they should be putting into it. Are you noticing a change in the level of trust that people have in the product as they continue to use it?
In terms of the feature itself, or just generally the product?
The AI feature itself.
I think people just learn more and more how to engage with it. So once they've used it once, we see high retention. What we found is that, our response users really trust our responses, and we get really good positive ratings. We have a 96% positive rating with our responses because we capture feedback every time we give a response.
That's great.
So the trust is certainly there. It hasn't diminished.
Yeah, I think another thing that you touched on that was really interesting to me as well is, I guess, for the traditional kind of chat feature where folks are engaging with an actual human trainer, they feel a little bit of hesitation to reach out to those individuals for silly questions. So yeah, there's just kind of like a whole, can of worms, I guess, that can be opened up with the way that users engage with your product if they just feel like they're not actually bothering someone, they're just asking an AI chat. So that's interesting. I mean, are you seeing a lift in engagement from folks because they know that they can just engage with a AI chat feature as opposed to a person?
Yeah, definitely. It's to that point. Look, when we A/B tested it, we saw an increase in overall retention rates. We saw, obviously it was a new feature, so it was, it was a feature that for people to come back to. So as soon as users know that a problem can be solved, it makes them more likely to return. Now, ultimately, at our core, our products and unique value proposition is a training journey, which is more of a proactive training journey. Here's personalized to you as a user and your puppy or dog, and it's there for you to follow. This is more of, oh crap, the dog is doing this thing that I never expected it to do. Maybe it's peeing on my shoes the whole time, and you can, as a user, go in and ask that really stupid question, and then if your answer isn't solved, you can go to a training coach as well who can give you a bit more of an even more bespoke response to that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So Jack, switching gears here a little bit, I think what we see are, especially in the digital product landscape, is there are a lot of companies that are trying to figure out how do we integrate AI into our product, right? Like, I think that's, I think it's safe to say that like most product teams are pretty focused on this right now. So I think a lot of companies are struggling to ensure that those AI features are driving real value rather than just being some novelty or just being AI cool. So how did Zigzag determine that an AI chat feature would genuinely improve the user experience for puppy parents?
Yeah, so I think it's, in terms of how we work here, we have a relentless focus on business value. We always have our growth targets, and that's always our North Star, and we map that to that user value. So, I touched on it earlier. Those continuous user interviews are really important to us to really know what our problem space looks like. So instantly we knew that, very early on, this was, 18 months ago now, that solution was a great match for problems our users have. When we go back to the business side, we knew we were going to A/B test this feature right from the start. So we needed to know that it would drive real business value for us. And obviously that maps to, solving real pain points for users like training confusion and things like a lack of guidance or, coming in to solve a biting issue, stuff like that. So it's that relentless focus on those results and that sort of qualitative insight that maps to that is really important. And having clear success metrics from the outset. So whether that's subscription rates, just general usage and feedback ratings. So when we write up a design brief, that is front of mind for a product designer to really design with that in mind. In terms of the key takeaways, I'd say, I think every founder, most founders around will go, I need like an AI roadmap, and we're going to just like nail that roadmap. So it's not something that you should do just for the sake of it as a business. But if you are going to try anything out, make sure it solves those problems. I'd advise starting small, iterating quickly and tracking that usage, getting those feedback loops from the outset. And use that to continuously refine any AI features that you build, because yes, it can be relatively straightforward to set these things up, but to those points, you need to get usage. There's no point in building a feature that is dead in the water and that no one uses from the outset.
Yeah. Jack, that's great that you guys are tracking some metrics around success. So there's this conversation that happens across the AI landscape, the AI product landscape. And that's this conversation around ROI, right? Like every company, again, they're trying to figure out how do we integrate AI into our products, into our services, into our companies, right? To help us do things better, do things faster, more efficient. And then there's this conversation around like, what is the ROI of this? So can you just double click on what those success metrics are that you're tracking? And is there any kind of like tight ROI calculation that you attach to those metrics as much as you're comfortable sharing?
Yeah, of course. There's two key metrics we were looking at on top of things like usage, but primarily one was about reducing our load on the training coaches. So we needed to create a solution that enables us to scale and maintain some of our core feature sets as a key selling point. And the second was when we A/B test, we're A/B testing around things like subscription rates and average revenue per user, ultimately lifetime value. So we A/B tested the version with AI chat versus the version that had nothing. So we knew categorically what impact that had to subscription rates, our average revenue per user, and our other core metrics. So yeah, having on it, that's not as easily done for every single business of every size, but I think certainly when you're talking about smaller businesses and B2C apps where you're getting a lot of data or enough data to run those A/B tests, like setting up these features with that in mind is crucial to know what your ROI is.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you all are focused on that. So I think when I look at the way people respond to that question right now across the landscape, what I'm seeing are three different answers. The first answer is people just kind of shrugging their shoulders and they're like, I don't know, AI, right? Like it's valuable. There's another set of individuals who are AI enthusiasts. And they basically say, well, we don't need to track ROI because we know that AI is just massively improving efficiency and everything that we're doing, right? Like you don't measure the ROI of electricity. You don't measure the ROI of email, which I'm sympathetic to that. But, like there are business stakeholders that actually need to see that this is driving value. So yeah, if folks that are listening to this podcast, like you made a couple really good points, and one of those really good points is this, right? Like you should be tracking this, you should be attaching value to it, you should be reporting that to your business stakeholders because yes, we know that AI does improve experience, it improves efficiency, right? It makes things better, but we need to be tracking that. So that's fantastic that you're doing that. So I want to switch gears again a little bit here and just look at generally, how your team is using AI to like enhance your internal process. So a lot of companies are doing that as well, right? So they're using AI to enhance their product development process, or just any general process. So how does Zigzag leverage AI tools to enhance your process and build and refine product?
Yep. So Zigzag is a really small team. As I said, I was the second employee. Yes, we're corporate backed, so we have the funds to be able to grow, but we need to employ people at the right time. So we've been very careful with our growth to make sure we're growing sustainably. Currently, the team is myself as head of products and operations, working with a senior product designer. So we have very limited resources, and that just generally means we are collaborating with lots of people in the business and getting them involved early on and throughout our development process. Specifically, we're using AI a lot for things like design reviews, copy editing, loads to do with qualitative user feedback. Also, things like legal checks to, obviously where we have GDPR and other things to keep up with. So knowing what impact we are having within legal and compliance. In terms of what that means, it massively speeds up our iteration cycles. So, it lets us refine our product strategy, get some input on, maybe it might be things like legal very early on in that process. So that time between, where you're developing something to getting it signed off is you're minimizing those gaps between things getting done and it going to different people. So I think that's one of the main things that it really helps with, of getting that level of input throughout that process, which ultimately speeds things along. And another side of it really helps explore new ideas quickly, get different perspectives, and do a lot of the groundwork where, ultimately, in a business our size, we can't hire loads of junior people like right now. So it just enables us to do those things a lot quicker and, a lot of the groundwork, basically. In terms of my general advice to this kind of stuff is, any business leader should be making it as easy as possible to play around with AI tools, and making that as easy as possible to do it with things like enterprise subscriptions to anything. So they're comfortable sharing data, and that's especially in small businesses. It's a lot more possible to do this stuff, and just working out what you can do as an individual within a business is probably one of the main things, because the technology's advancing the whole time. So you can do more and more stuff. And there's loads of cool new tools, like things like Craftful, which you can use at product teams throughout the development process.
So looking forward into the future, obviously we're looking at a very quickly evolving space, right? So as AI continues to evolve, how do you plan to keep refining your AI chat experience to further enhance the experience that your users receive from it?
Yeah, so continuous metric tracking is key to what I'm doing and what we're doing as a team. We're only refining Ziggy based on real interactions. So where we see opportunities, and we're looking at what responses people are giving our AI in terms of both the questions they're asking, but also the responses the AI gives. That's getting reviewed the whole time to enable us to improve the model. But also looking at expanding into things like new problem spaces where we can add a lot of value for our users, and even exploring about how it can fundamentally define how we're building the product experience as well. Like you're going to see. I think we're going to see startups who just build things in completely different ways, because the way that incumbents have built it just don't make any sense. It's a lot easier to build and build a lot of interesting stuff. I generally say it's our approach is we're very data informed, and combining that with user focus that enables us to keep track on an ongoing basis of how users are engaging with specifically Ziggy, our AI feature, but also doing it in a way that generally helps dog owners, and that in our stage of business, that isn't necessarily all. A part of that would be about improving what we have, but another side of it is solving new problems as well.
Yeah. So I think what I'm hearing is a lot of generative research for generative AI features.
Yeah. It's really massively important for us. I think that it's marrying those two things up is it enables you to jump when it makes sense to jump, and act quickly when having that generative backing really allows you to play around with all this cool new stuff that's coming out the whole time.
That's great. So Jack, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really enjoyed this conversation. So how does someone learn more about you, your thought leadership, and all of the work that you do at Zigzag?
Yeah, so feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Search Jack Mitchell. There's thousands of us, I think, but Jack Mitchell and Zigzag, you'll find me. I'm more than happy to chat about products, in particular B2C. I specialize in apps, but also have done a bit of web stuff before. So more than happy to chat about anything products. Love meeting product people. And please download Zigzag if you're a dog owner or especially a puppy owner, and DM me with some feedback. Let me know how it's going. Anything you'd like to improve.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Jack.
Cheers, Michael.